we had around 5 geographies except China. In all the sectors, all the regions, these applications were running. I was project management team was reporting to the HR domain GDPR champion, and for each business function there was a GDPR champion, and all these GDPR champions were reporting to the DPO. That was the landscape of the GDPR compliance program in that organization. And as from the project management perspective, I was reporting to digital risk leader, who was responsible for compliance of all the HR applications. So in organization had several digital risk leaders, and each one of them were entrusted with the compliance, GDPR compliance for various business functions. So this, and my duration was around 6 to 7 months. So here, from that perspective, when I walked through that managed project, I realized that it's a bit different than any other, software project development or customized application development and e-governance project or migration projects, infrastructure projects. So usually this is a kind of projects we do in the IT domain. But this compliance project was very new to us, and a lot of, for me, experience and learning was there. So here I thought that I will, share my thoughts and views of how project management methodology will, accelerate and bring the effectiveness with the role of the project manager. So that's today's my, objective. So here I have made few assumptions for today's session. The first assumption here is that the organization, when we discuss, that we consider that organization is large or mid-sized. It means that organization has got multiple business units and verticals. So when organization is large or mid-sized, we can definitely will have several department and functions like technology or engineering, ISMS, IT. IT has a different business function itself, GRC, governance, regulatory and compliance business function, legal, HR, finance, as usual, all will be there, and including the facility management. So why I'm bringing this perspective is that in the large and mid-sized organization, the scenario can be like this, that one business function. So let us take the example of HR business function, which will have multiple applications. So that was a scenario in my project also, GDPR complex or project I managed, where the HR domain, as I shared with you, initially we started with 45, and later we finalized the list of 25. So it means one business function has got multiple applications. That is one scenario. Otherwise, a mid-sized organization may have a kind of an enterprise ERP, where that one ERP or few applications are used by multiple functions. That is, let us take an example. To give an example, that enterprise-wide ERP like SAP, which will be used across the organization by multiple functions, like starting from sales, production, marketing, and then warehouse management, HR, finance. All the business functions should be maybe using one application. That may be the scenario. So I will move to the second assumption from the project management cycle, which I will be discussing or sharing with you. See, the cycle where we start is that we assume that DPO is onboarded and applicability of regulation is known to the organization. The first challenge to the organization when in the regulatory compliance project is that what is applicability to our organization? So that challenge or that point is addressed, DPO is onboarded, and the project is approved and ballpark budget is committed for the project. So these are all will happen in the preparation phase of the project or the program. Then, so this we will not cover. We will move on to the start phase of the project. So we will also assume that project manager is onboarded to the project. And here in today's cycle, what I will be sharing with you in the session, we consider that PM reports to the DPO or the other person who is assigned with the PDPA compliance project. So also have one slide in the last of the session where I would like to share with you my thoughts and views of how FDPPI as a forum, as an organization or institution, how we can no, position ourselves. What should be our PDPA roadmap and milestones? So this is the last slide which I will share with you, and we can, you know, I will keep it open to the forum. My thoughts open to the table, and, you know, for this forum to take it, discuss and take it forward. So here I would like to share with you with my experience and what I have understood the PDPA, PDPA Act of Draft Bill of India. So few challenges, the key challenges what organization may get exposed or encounter. First is the privacy by design. I would like to highlight here. Privacy by design is, from PDPA perspective, that is the first document need to be, you know, besides the privacy policy, design policy, privacy by design is to be, you know, is to be documented. That means that here we are taking a regulatory approach or compliance we are achieving through engineering approach or technology approach. So that means that we need to ensure that the lot of technology controls what will play a role for the regulatory compliance, that need to be understood. So this is a challenge in itself, because that organization may have an ISMS. Besides that, now from the perspective of privacy data, protection of privacy, how we need to, you know, augment or enhance our technology controls. So, and ensure that end-to-end that privacy, protection of privacy and transparency and accountability and accuracy of the data, integrity of the data across the system, IT systems, across the business processes, across the IT assets. When I say IT assets, several assets will be there, starting from the server or desktop or BOID devices, how that can be ensured. So this is the first challenge. Coming to the next challenge, that inventory of processes and assets. As I shared with you, that one business function will have multiple applications, and then different assets may be there. Here, when I say assets, it is both applications and the hardware devices, including the BOID devices. So we need, usually organization will not maintain kind of a register, because though there may be some IT practices, ISMS practices, but a kind of the assets which handle the personal data may not be available. Identifying them in a consolidated way is another challenge. The next challenge is that change management. So here, from when I say change management, is more, I am coming from the perspective of privacy culture, more from the Indian perspective, Indian culture perspective. So we, as you know, Indians, we are less sensitive to our privacy of our personal data or the information. So that culture need to be addressed within the organization, and a lot of education is required. Taking to the next level, that same challenge from the organization perspective, that org-wide awareness, I would like to put it this way. Here, organization need to be, you know, made aware at all levels. So of the consequences of data breach and benefits of, you know, having the compliance higher DTS. So here, PDPA especially is giving to the business or organization, data fiduciary organizations, an opportunity. It is not only a kind of a risk or a threat from the data breach, but it is giving an opportunity, business opportunity as well. If they are compliant or having a higher DTS score, probably they may gain more customer confidence and also the brand value. So this awareness, both of risk and benefits, awareness need to be there across the organization. So the next challenge I would like to highlight here is the alignment of stakeholders. See, again, as I was sharing with you, that this compliance project will have several stakeholders coming from you know, different business functions. It will be legal, GRC, business unit leaders, process owners, application owners, technology leaders. So they may be having some conflicting interest, but the success of the compliance or the speed of the compliance timelines or the effectiveness of the compliance will come with the alignment of the stakeholders. So in any project, alignment of the stakeholders with the conflicting interest and, you know, stakeholder management itself is a big challenge. But per my experience, when I was discussing with the architects and, you know, business process owners and technical people, we had some difficulty. So here I'm highlighting the alignment of stakeholder as one of the key challenge. So the next challenge is that the DPIA assessment in itself. So in my project, in spite of conducting various workshops and giving the training to the business process teams and the application teams how to carry out the DPIA, when we ask them to do the assessment, go through the questionnaire, when you identify that yes, this process or this application having certain personal data is being captured, so we need to carry out the DPIA assessment. They used to say that yes, we'll revert back and we have understood. But when they come back, probably it is most in the fluid state. Then again, project management team along with me as a project manager, along with the GDPR HR champion and a couple of techno-functional people, we used to sit with them and handhold them to complete the DPA. So look at the situation where we need to carry out the DPA for several business processes and in the organizations. So here the one is a timeline, next is the effectiveness, and third, the key challenge within the DPIA boundary itself is the ownership of the risk and the risk treatment. Though the project management team will tell them, so this is what the risk you are exposing post the assessment. The risk is owned by the business process or application owners, process owners or the application owners. So they need to take the ownership of the risk treatment. So it needs some level of maturity and kind of alignment with the requirement, project requirement. So next is the post-implementation phase. So once organization is compliant, that in the run mode, the operation team need to see that continuous monitoring and control and take care of any changes it may be regulatory change, or it may be technology change, or change in the organization policy or the process, or any new projects acquired or something like that. So that is there should be a defined team for each application or the business function to monitor and control. So usually this part is very key, because if it is ignored, that the team or the people need to be identified very proactively during the project phase itself or the compliance phase itself. They can shadow or they can be trained and to manage the run mode operations. Also, if the organization is having any help desk need to be set up and all, those people also need to be trained. And if the organization is using any IATSM application or something like new queues or something like that for the team and all, from the perspective of the personal data issues need to be generated. So these are the few challenges at a broader level. So any kind of project will have many other challenges, but so these are the few key challenges I would like to highlight. Then I move on from the project management approach. So the first part of the effectiveness of the project methodology, or the success of the project comes from the project governance structure. How do you define the structure is the first is the key. So here it is self-explanatory, but briefly I will take you through. So I will start from the project manager, who is the point of our focus today. And so the project manager will report to the DPO. As I said, DPO will report to CEO, and CEO to the board of directors, and board of directors will do external shareholders engagement. The DPO also parallelly engages with the DPA, and also he will proactively engage with the different business functions, ISMS team or engineering team or the CTO, legal, GRC, BU heads, and vendor management. Whenever vendor management we'll discuss when we go to the stakeholder engagement and all. So vendor management will take care of the current contracts and the future contracts. So DPO need to work DPO and DPO team need to work with them. So this will be the scenario. Coming to the whom all the project manager engages is that the one is the DPO who he reports to, who or she reports to. Then also he will engage with all the business unit owners and functional spokes. Probably when the project is rolled out, each business unit may give for GDR, PDPA compliance, a functional spoke may be given. Similarly, the application team, each of the application owner may give an application, technical person who may be an architect or any, lead technical manager or someone or from the middle management to engage with the project manager. So also we'll have some, team, whom we call it as functional spokes, and who will carry out the DPIA activity, and then also there is a technical team who will identify the controls and deploy. So, and if we engage with the external consultant will be maybe for the regulatory, clarity, or it may be from the technical perspective. External consultant may be for encryption or this kind of activity. They may be engaged, but definitely they need to be brought into the project governance structure itself. As and when required, they can be called into the meetings to take the clarity. This is the a high level view of the project governance structure. So as I was mentioning about the stakeholders and the interested parties, so this is the key. Any project, the stakeholder engagement and communication, continuous engagement and communication is the key success factor. From especially it is more important, and key challenge as well from the compliance project, because as I shared with you, the cross-functional team will be working together. This is just a bird view or a kind of a high-level view of the stakeholder analysis template. This is not the template or a standard template or something like that. This is a most simple one, which to get a view of the stakeholder engagement and analysis. I have sharing this template with you, where the name of the stakeholder is captured, title or designation, group he's from is captured, and stake in the project. That is very key. If, for example, CEO and MD, they are the sponsors, DPO is the owner of the compliance project, CISO from all the ISMS or security controls, IT infra. So technology perspective, yes, technology control, CTO will be there or engineering head will be there. Legal and GRC, yes, they will closely work with the DPO and for the regulation perspective and the documentation perspective. And vendor management, as I was sharing with you, is more from the contracts. So where that the current contracts need to be, for example, tomorrow we have the PDPA Act rolled out. So all the vendor management contracts need to be updated with the data protection addendum. So BU heads, yes, for the org measures, they will look into the org measures, which I will share with you. What are the org measures, how it will add value, what business units, how they can contribute as for the success factors. I will, in the later slide, I will share it with you. So similarly with the technical leadership team and technical implementation team, that is architect and DBA leads for the controls deployment. Usually any project will have the HR and finance part of that. So HR more coming from the people resources, providing the people resources, right skill set and competencies. It may be in-house or they can be recruited for the project, or they can be engaged. And also the HR will, contribute to the training needs of this compliance project. CFO, obviously the budget, where he allocates the budget and commits the budget. Then this is about more of the, this is we have discussed the stake in the project. The other key parameter need to be captured when it is during the stakeholder analysis. Is the stakeholder is decision maker? Yes or no? Is the decision the stakeholder is a sign off is required from the person? So if the person has delegated to anyone else, or the other next person to go to in the department or the business function, that all need to be captured. So RASI is usually used in the typical project management template: responsible, accountable, and communicate and inform. Required, if it is required, yes, maintain it. Other the simple stakeholder columns till the remarks starting from the stakeholder name, that should suffice. So this is more from the internal stakeholder perspective. So any compliance project will have a lot of external stakeholder engagement. That will be taken care. That is not in the scope within the boundary of the project. That will be managed by the DPO or any senior person in the organization, which organization has assigned it. So here, the next slide, I would like to bring in what value addition project management manager role will bring in. See, having one is the what I am trying to highlight in this session is that for the compliance project, adopting the project management methodology is one the key success factor. Another is that also the role of project manager, how what will be his or her contribution, what value add it will bring in for the effective execution or the to achieve the compliance. The first I would like to highlight here is that when it comes to the project manager, the person is assigned with the project, so he owns the delivery of the project end to end. See, it is when we say it is not only regulatory compliance. Along with that, as we were discussing, lot of other project deliverables will be there, like training needs, communication, and and then risk management, which we'll be discussing later. So this end-to-end ownership is very key success factor. So that in any typical standard methodology or the practice, project management practice, the usual artifacts what he will develop and deliver is that charter, project management plan, and then plan will have the scope, timelines, budget, resource plan, risk register. Also, the other key is that the visibility to the project is given across the organization, especially the key stakeholders and interested parties. That is usually the leadership team through the kickoff meeting. So, whom they will be the interested parties. That is, this is the word is very key. They will be the interested parties in the compliance project. They may be decision makers. They may be providing the resources, or any kind of decisions, or kind of sign off or something like that. All these parties will be brought and a project kickoff will be done. So from there, this is the one activity which will get the visibility and start the project is start moving in the organization. Next, so as I was sharing with you, the stakeholder engagement is the key. Stakeholder and the interested parties engagement is the key. So first challenge itself is the identification of the stakeholders and interested parties, because I was sharing with you that if the organization is very wide, very large, having many business functions or number of applications are more, then if they are distributed across the locations, and if the organization has grown through inorganic growth, it means that every year they acquire one or the another smaller product company or something like that. So then those subsidiary, the acquired companies, also organization who are now amalgamated into the parent company, they will be having many applications, business process running. So across this landscape, the project manager need to really run through and then identify the stakeholders and interested parties. So the next one, the key activity what he will do continuously is the continuous engagement through discussions, and then he will define the mutual expectation. So project manager's success criteria is that how well he engages with the stakeholders and how he will set the mutual expectations. So then, as I was sharing with you, the continuous engagement also will help to remove any roadblocks and any pending action from any of the stakeholder. When I say stakeholder, here it is, even the the junior person, technical person deploying a control is the stakeholder. If any pending, so the continuous, it means that the project manager is engaging from the leadership team to the most lower level of the in the organization, who may be a software engineer or a technical person who owns some deliverables through his actions. So these are this continuous across the levels engagement and communication and setting the mutual expectation is the key. So any decisions, approvals will come in and sign-offs will come in effectively. Next is the project communication. Project communication, continuous communication is the key. So again, the project PM is a spoke for the communication across the stakeholders. He is the person to go if any project information is required, where the project is heading to, what is the status, is there any resource or requirement or risk, whatever it may be. The people need to come to the project manager first. So he'll be a single point of to provide the updates on that. Then the other communication deliverable from him, or the activity from him, is that he conducts and drives a lot of meetings. See, in the again the scenario like where multiple stakeholders are coming in into play into the project. So for each, first is that the meeting calendar will be set when during the kickoff, and then the frequency of the meeting and calendar invites and all will be distributed. Besides of that, so across during the project life cycle, lot of meetings are required. Then he will set the agenda, project manager will set the agenda, and he will also set and identify the participants who all need to be called in for the each meeting, and he will set the expectations of outcome of the meetings. So because see, usually in any organization, so the meetings will happen, whether the decisions or outcomes, expected outcomes will come within one meeting or multiple meetings, is the maturity of the organization, how the person heading the meeting will matter. So here the PM who coming from any trained background, certified or trained background, maybe the right person to drive the meetings and set the agenda and discuss with the stakeholders and get the right outcomes of the meetings. Next, the project risk management. Please note, when I say project risk management, this is the project risk management. It is not nothing to do with the DPIA risk, what residual risk or any risk we carry, compliance risk we carry. Here it is purely confined to the project, and project risk register will be maintained by the project manager. So the proactive assessment of the risk, any roadblocks, any it can be from coming from a resource not available. There may be a lot of interdependency, dependent activities might be happening. So resources need to be available at the right time, and resource IT assets need to be available. And even if it is external consultant is hired, some clarity has to come from within the organization, or from the external consultant has to come in. All these kind of interdependencies will be there. So the PM will be the person who identifies proactively the risk and the impact of the same, and he will identify the risk owner, and he will also how to arrive at the risk resolutions if meeting need to be organized, who are all need to be participants, or it will happen over a mail or over a phone call and all. He's the person to take the decision, and he will do the continuous follow-up of the risk closure. So this project risk assessment is one of the key deliverable and key success factor for in the project life cycle. Especially from the regulatory point of compliance project of view, there may be ifs and buts, lot of doubts how this compliance can be dealt with. It can be an organizational measure, or it can be a technical measure, or a control. There may be, we had a lot of, ifs and buts during my project stint of the GDPR compliance. So this is where I would like to highlight that the role of the project manager coming from the stakeholder engagement, communication, and risk assessment, risk management is the key. Next is the change management. As I shared with you that, especially from the PDPA, that is the Personal Data Protection Act, which is if it becomes an act and need to be rolled out across the organization, the first, as I shared with you, the cultural change need to be brought in. So this cultural change is a very huge task in itself that will not happen in one day, but the project manager will initiate this change management. He will talk to the key stakeholders, maybe the HR or the training manager, identify what are the education or the training needs, workshop needs as per the project need and organizational needs. So again, I will recall my what I shared with you, that from the PDPA perspective, organization need to be made aware of the consequences of data breach. What will be the civil offense and what will be the criminal offense, how it is cognizable, and all that need to be made aware of. So this is where the education and awareness comes in. So the project manager, the success of the project also depends upon that the cultural change within the organization. So this is need to be driven to be initiated by the project manager. Further, it will be taken up by the business process owners or the BU heads. And again, definitely the DPO is the person who owns it, to have the privacy culture inculcated in the organization. So he will collaborate, the person will collaborate, the PM will collaborate with HR, training manager and contact. So he will come out with a training plan, and then he will announce that, the trainings will be initiated. So also the project manager, if the organization is big, it's a larger one, lot of the awareness need to be brought in through newsletters or the corporate social media, even through the town hall meetings. So these are all what activities should happen to get the visibility and the change management rolling into the organization, that will be driven by the project manager. Throughout I have been sharing with you that with all these activities, that project will get the visibility. So visibility to all the stakeholders and the interested parties, and also visibility will come through the scheduled meetings with the steering committee or the data protection committee, with the DPO or the CEO or the core team, which is where it is represented by various business functions like ISMS, security, IT heads, and engineering team and all. So the visibility will be brought to them with the scheduled status reporting, and also the changes, which is the changes and the deviations. Definitely this kind of project, for example, we identify one control, to give a trivial example, like we decide on pseudonymization, but tomorrow we see that in the application probably pseudonymization may be difficult, we may have to go for data masking. So that is a deviation. So that change need to be taken approval. So this kind of changes, for example, resource is not available, resource has there is an attrition, or the person has left. So that is a change, new person has to be brought in, or external consultant has to be brought in, a person need to be hired formally for this project on the contract basis. These are the changes which will be initiated, or rather will be identified, and then he will do the due change control. So again, it can be within the compliance of organization measure or technical control. It may be through the other project management logistics control as well. So if you will take the due approvals, and if additional budget is required and all, there is a project manager is a person responsible to take it. So this I am highlighting here with all these points, the value addition what the project manager will bring in within the framework of project management methodology, if it is adopted. Now we'll just
Anand, sorry to interrupt. I have one question here. The changes are also the part of identified risk, in the initial stages of the project. Like if there's a resource crunch or not availability of resources. So these all are the part of my risk management related to the project.
Correct.
So, yeah. So and second part, I wanted to ask for the cultural change of the organization. What exactly the PM's role into that? Because see, it's a subjective kind of stuff where as a project implementation, there must be certain trainings needs to be done, or management commitment towards the project needs to be there. So if they are signing off on the project scope, it means that some sort of culture they wanted to build in the organization related to the privacy aspects.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, conducting training is something which my project manager can deliver, but how efficient that training is all about, or how the culture is changing within the organization during the project implementation cannot be possible.
Definitely, yes, you are right. It is very subjective, as I shared with you. It is a continuous process. Probably it will extrapolate beyond the project boundary, but because the project is initiated, then culture, the effective compliance will come in, or probably the organization will gear up to the regulatory aspects. Then the change management is initiated. So as I shared, as you also shared, that is a continuous process, but that will be initiated, which will be taken further by it will be driven by the DPO. I have got a slide for that, critical success factor. Probably we'll be discussing that same. So what we are in alignment.
Okay. So what exactly the PM's role, I would like to know, means how I would say politically correct he should have to be to enforce those kind of implementations or the pointers in the project, because it's related to the implementation piece and these things are really very subjective. So how does the project manager should handle these situations?
Very good question. Very good question. Again, that I repeat that project manager initiates, he engages with the HR. Let me go to that slide. Here we were change management. See here that he will collaborate. Look at the change management number 5. He will collaborate with the HR training manager to conduct the trainings, workshops. He initiates that. Probably it will help for the success of the project. Means when I say till means compliance, beyond compliance also run mode, this privacy culture need to be maintained, which will be the, as I shared with you above, that is a part of the responsibility of the DPO or the data protection committee, whoever it is heading that. So this will be there. The deliverable is a continuous deliverable, but that will be initiated, because until unless that cultural change is initiated, it will not positively contribute to the project compliance project. So that is to the his deliverable, or is to be very specific. He will initiate this, and he will more focus from the training needs from the project management team. That is his first interest. That yes, these are the people are. See, for example, a technical person need to do the business process person, SPOC need to do the DPIA. First, he should understand what is the ask from the regulation. So that the team need to be trained on the PDPA. So those training needs he will initiate. That is again part of the change management that will extrapolate out of the project boundary.
Yeah. Sorry, my question is towards more about the ground level reality. Like as you implemented your GDPR stuff, I would say, okay, the RACI matrix is there. The stakeholders are very keen to implement those trainings. But as it's a new field, might be HR says, okay, if I have to conduct a training, I don't have any materials to conduct those trainings, or I don't have a learning management system where I incorporate that module. So might be my project duration is of 3 months to 4 months. And he says, okay, I will implement those things, but it will take some time, approx like 5 months to build up the contents and then execute it for the different employees or stakeholders. So how to handle those situations?
Yeah, very good question. Very good question. See, nobody will get into that cycle. Simply they will only have put the external stakeholders, the external consultant. Okay, external consultant's role is very important here. For training purpose and all, they will not, because that cannot be learned by over a day. If the person, someone has to be made to learn the compliance PDPA and understand the regulatory. Even legal team, they understand the regulatory, but they may not be able to give the effective training. So there are people, external consultants, like FDPPA has got a lot of experienced people, those who will be contributing to go to the organization and train the people on the regulatory part of it. So the organization need to take a call that they need to hire external consultants. They will not go into the cycle of getting someone trained on that and getting into that. So that is where the external consultants play a role here. So that person will report to the project manager. Project manager will understand on what phase, where are the training, what kind of training need to be given. If the training is to be given to across the means just for the awareness, the training need and the material is different. If it is for specific to the business part who is going to carry out DPIA, there is a different level of training. All those training needs with the training manager, with the HR manager, he will sit and discuss with the external consultant, arrive at. That is one of the key deliverable. That is part of the change management. Hope I think I made it clear.
Yep. And can we also put that as a known risk during implementation?
See, the risk register is maintained. That is what I said.
Project related risk.
Yeah, it's a project risk. Definitely the change management is a risk of key challenge, and the risk I have identified, right? So one of the awareness itself is a risk actually. That definitely it goes into that. Because see, what happens is that risk register is the first, when you go to this next slide, it will explain. Look at let me start with that. So we are not deviating. So I will take I will answer you when we come to the, activities and deliverables. So let us take a snapshot of the PDPA complex project management approach. The first on the top, you are seeing the project roadmap. So the roadmap is having typically, major milestones like, project is approved, then it is start post in the approval phase, all that, budgetary commitment and all will happen. And then the project is start where the project manager roles will start in this cycle and deploy the controls. So before deploying, some certain activities will happen, which we will discuss in the next, when we discuss the compliance project life cycle and the different stages of activities. So then the post the deployment of organizational measures and technical measures, internal audit will happen. That is the next milestone, major milestone. The next major milestone in the roadmap is that external audit. Then the project closure. So this is a high level roadmap to give you that, how it will run. Then the project phases. This is a very standard phase that the project will have initiation, planning, execution, and close. Now let us come to the project life cycle. So the project life cycle, in a typical project life cycle, will have scope, scoping phase, define, and where the requirement are analyzed, and what needs to be done technically, deliverables and all these then done. Then they are developed or executed. If it is a software development project, and software development will happen, and they are tested, and UAT, user acceptance test will happen, and then no-go call is taken, and then the project goes live. This is the typical life cycle. So here it is the life cycle. Here it is customized for the compliance project. So we understand the scope phase, then which I will later discuss with you on the set of activities and then deliverables. Let us look at the stage here in the compliance project. So scoping, then we define, here we define the kind of organizational measures and controls, then we deploy them, then we will conduct an internal audit and the external audit. So this is the stages, a typical customized stages within the project life cycle for a compliance project. So let me now go to the scoping phase. So what will happen, what activities will happen in the scoping phase? Scoping phase will have business process inventory, what inventory I was talking about, the listing, arriving at a process inventory or the process risk register, and the IT artifacts, the IT assets, which are processing the personal data. That register, you call it as the process register or process inventory or IT inventory having personal data, whatever you call it, but that inventory has to be in place. That is one activity will happen. That is where the scoping, sizing of the project, how large, including your all business applications, mobile applications, BOID devices, all need to be considered when we talk about the assets here. So then identify the gap. So from the compliance perspective at a very high level, then identify by then who are owning, how many applications are there, who are the business owners, and then who are the application owners and all will be there. They will fall into the as a stakeholders. They will part the interested parties. They will be the identified. Then arrive at a project management plan. See this, when I say project management plan, this will identify all the risk. So it will also, as you shared, the question was raised. So it will also identify some risk. When I said the resources are not available means we don't have a resource for the training purpose. We don't have the capability to do the training. So we have to depend upon the external agency or something, consultants. So these are the risks he will identify. The project management plan will define that. So what will be the deliverable? Deliverable at the scoping phase is the project management detailed high level project management plan, then project schedule, and then with plan you have a schedule as well. It can be MSP or Excel sheet, whatever it is convenient used in the organization. They may have some customized in-house built project management system itself. Then he will see here, he has initiated during the scoping phase, when the start of the project, he has initiated the change management, collaborating with the HR and the training managers as applicable. So now we will move to the define phase. So in the define phase, DPA assessment is done. By then we have the inventory of the processes and the applications. Then we will carry out, we have identified the people who are supposed to carry out the DPIA through the change management cycle. External consultant are hired. Those core team, the compliance core team is trained. That is the first, during the training, this team need to be trained first. Then rest of the organization can be trained. So these people will be trained and they will go do the DPIA, and DPIA post that they will define the what org measures and the technical measures or the controls need to be brought in, and risk treatment. What is the risk treatment? So these are the few things which will happen in the define phase. Then the outcome is the privacy by design doc. So this DPIA, all the technical controls and all, so org measures also there, because PDPA says that design privacy by design policy need to have the org measures as the data fiduciary, what the obligations they have and all this will be defined, whether it is a policy or a measure. The organization policy comes within the organization measures, so all this will be in the place, and these are the documents will be created. So then the project manager also, for each compliance, see this is very specific to this kind of project, for each compliance item definition of done will be listed out. What is definition of done? Definition of done is a checklist. When I say this regulatory code, this section, or this is a compliance item, is we have completed, it is compliant now. There should be a checklist, how it has become compliant, what are the artifacts, what are the documentation, controls, effectiveness of the controls, all this need to be there. Definition of done is the key here, success factor for the compliance project. So we'll move to the deployment phase, which is a standard execution phase in the standard phase of the project. So we deploy the org measures and then technical controls and validate through DOD. When I say DOD, it is definition of done. So during the definition of validation, if any rework is there, revalidate, rework on it and revalidate that. So the outcome or the deliverable is a sign off for the each compliance item. So when I say sign off, please recall my stakeholder template, where we identified the people, stakeholders. When we listed out the stakeholders, identified the stakeholders, we also identified is the person is a sign off person. He is supposed to give a sign off for which compliance item. So for each compliance item, I will have a defined person. For one person might be giving for several compliances. For example, a person coming from legal or GRC, someone may be giving for. But when it comes to technical, the control is deployed, it is tested, it is okay. That sign off has to come. So then the technical person will become a sign off stakeholder or the interested party. So these are the key for the compliance project. Then we will move to then obviously that in the compliance project life cycle, usually in other projects, what will happen? User acceptance test will be there. Here, instead of user acceptance test, it will be internal audit. So internal audit team will be there. So or external persons, maybe if the organization is not having the capability, external person team may be hired to the external internal audit. So the audit of the compliance done by the organization before they go to the DPA. That yes, we are compliant now. If you want to get the audit done, if it is required, if the regulation says that please go ahead. So till that time the internal audit need to be done, so that is taken care. So audit observation closure, presentation to DPO or CEO, go or no go call for the external audit. When I say external audit, is the final audit which may be initiated by the DPA here. So the deliverable is that internal audit closure report, presentation to the leadership team. So then we move to the, once it is a go call is taken from the leadership team or the DPO or the CEO, we move to the external audit. If the DPA demands for that, or the regulatory says that it's required for that organization. So facilitate external audit, engage with the external audit, and then close all the observation, all the project team, and close the observation. So the deliverable here is that audit closure, external audit closure report, and compliance approval, and also project manager. Here another I would like to highlight here is that at this stage, project manager need to work on the transition plan. So now organization is compliant now. How it will be managed, monitored, controlled, and change management is done during the run mode. Who are the people, the spots, who are the people to go to, who will monitor. So all that communication which falls within, for example, any data principles rights, what are the communications comes from the data principles and all, that is part of the regulation that it will be defined by the time we become compliant. Besides of that, any help desk is required, so that setting up the help desk, training any people required there, these are the activities will fall into the transition plan, which the transition plan will be defined, and he will initiate with the business functions, owners, and then technical people. So the last, with all this, the post transition, then a lessons learned will be meeting will be conducted and project will be closed. So this is just to give an overview how typically a project management methodology is bit customized. I have customized it here, looking from the DPA perspective, the defined phase and deployment of the controls in the execution phase, internal audit, which is equal to the UAT here, and the external audit. which is, go live kind of scenario. So here the last slide of my session, which I would like to highlight here the critical success factors for CSF for the PDPA compliance. So first is the vision and strategy of the leadership team. When I say yes, how the organization, how much of privacy, what is this privacy policy, what is this statement, how they would like to the privacy policy as aligned with their business vision and strategy. So how much of confidence they would like to gain in the market with respect to the privacy policy and all. These are the vision part of the vision and strategy, which is owned by the leadership team. So here the compliance applicability, which we discussed, strategic direction and decision, that is coming from the strategy, and org measures, that is obviously they need to when any new org measures, whether at managerial stage and org measures or the business functions and all, any technical changes, what the privacy by design policy says, that these are the four areas you need to cover and identify what is the proactively what is the harm, identify the harm and then address it, proactively identify and address it. So that is what the policy they need to look into. And risk acceptance level, probably all the risks cannot be managed at the same time. Probably they need to have the leadership team need to understand the risk acceptance level within the boundary of the market or the industry they are into, including considering the sectoral obligations as well. Then the extra stakeholder engagement, whether it is a DPA or the shareholders or any other communication, that is a part of the falls into the leadership team. So then the driving the privacy protection culture, that is where, so it is a continuous process that is should be led by the leadership team here. So then I will move quickly for the paucity of time, that I will share with you other two critical success factors, the org measures, which is owned by the business functions. So they will be continuously compliance. They monitor, control, and manage the changes. The changes can be regulatory, business process, contractual obligations as well. If they acquire any new project or something, client and all, what are the contractual obligations come within the from the customer, that they need to look into, and the organization need to gear up for the compliance of the same. And again here I am highlighting here to the next level or the middle level managers of the business functions owners, they need to again build awareness, identify the training needs, because attrition will be there, new people will be coming in. So the training need is a continuous process. It is a change management is a continuous process, especially from the PDPA perspective, because of the consequence of the data breach, the penalty, and if it is any kind of de-identification, re-identification of the de-identified data is a cognizable offense. Considering all this, the awareness and training, change management, it is a continuous process which is led by across organization levels, maybe definitely from the leadership team and from the middle management team as well. Coming to the technology measures, yes, identifying the right technology controls, ensure controls consistency and effectiveness. See, we discuss a lot when we discuss the ISMS and ISO 27001, that effectiveness and consistency of the controls, that falls in the leadership team of the technology leadership team. And leverage technology, latest technology, to become more effective in the privacy protection of the privacy, and more from the transparency accountability perspective. So definitely all this team will work together to improve the DTS score. Higher the DTS score, it is a business opportunity. As I shared with you, PDPA is giving you a chance that yes, there is a risk boss, but also please be compliant, increase your DTS. You can showcase the confidence to your customer and also bring the value, brand value. So the moving towards higher DTS is the leadership across the organization is the deliverable. So we are at 8 o'clock. I will just take another 2 minutes to share this slide. What I shared is that. So Navi sir, can you ask the person to mute? Getting some.
I will check up. Yeah, you go ahead.
So see, this is what my aspirational statement here. How do I think? Because last I think a couple of months I have been interacting with the FDPPA forum led by Navi sir. So very good leadership, So having that leader and a great forum and the people expertise and knowledge base here in this forum, that is, I am just highlighted here: legal expertise, process consulting, technology consulting, implementation consulting, audit and training as well. So we can, FDPPA can also elevate to the consent management. So what is our roadmap in the PDPA landscape when PDPA Act rolls out in India? My current ask or the vision statement, means aspirational statement here is that yes, FDPPA need to position itself and build a brand as end-to-end PDPA experts and consultants, develop the PDPA implementation kit. Well, GDPR has got an implementation kit. So why not we should have FDPPA need to come out with a PDPA standard kit, which is customizable to different size of the organization. So use this kit, deploy make the organizations compliant, and then implement, then showcase the success stories and testimonials, then scale up the implementation methodology with use of augmented technology solutions, like what Navi sir always says, that pseudonymization gateway. Absolutely, I agree with him that pseudonymization gateway will de-risk many things. So because most of the technology controls will come within the application, will come there, play a role there. So we do augment our implementation kit, including the technology solutions. Then we make the PDPSI as a kind of a standard, implementation standard. Then obviously, as Navi sir's vision, we can align with that and mature the PDPSI implementation process methodology, and to push that as an accepted standard. So here I leave it to the forum. I think it is 8:05. Sir, over to you, sir. Navi sir, any questions on the session I have shared? It is open now, if time permits.
No, thank you, Anand. It was an excellent session. It has actually put the whole perspective of implementation into a particular regular mode of implementation. And now I will ask people to raise questions so that we'll spend some time on questions to the extent possible. Yeah.
So, hi, sir, Ashish here. So, I don't have any questions, only one point that comes to my mind. Instead of developing a kit, can we do something like a PDP as a service, like a developer platform that we can facilitate organizations with? So it will be a good implementation for the organizations also, where we know the objective, we know the scope, and we can ready our platform and we can provide the organization to use that.
Yeah, it can be done. Perhaps Anand and me will discuss that further. That is, instead of making a deliverable kit, what you are suggesting is that we create a platform which can be used by the organization.
Yes, based on their customizations and
yeah, that is fine. And whatever more thoughts you have about that, also you please share with us. We will try to work on that. It's a great suggestion.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anand, Srinivas here.
Yeah, Srinivas.
You have any specific methodology in mind for implementing the project management?
Good question, Srinivas. Yeah, yes, definitely. See, the most suitable project management methodology is the agile methodology. This I missed out while saying. Thanks for raising this point, Srinivas. Agile, probably within Agile there are some different methodologies, Scrum, Kanban and all. But for my project, I initiated the Kanban method, where that we give set of deliverables to the business owners and application owners as per their suitability and availability of the resources, what the low-hanging fruits, what they can make it a quick success or something like that. Those things they will pick up and they will start executing and start reporting to us. And project manager, obviously the HR GDPR champion or whoever it is, that person coming from the regulation perspective, they'll keep monitoring that. So agile methodology, the suggested methodology, but yes, because the one problem with the agile is that it is not only the project manager knows the agile methodology, whole team need to know, because the agile methodology calls for the sprint planning, sprint meetings, sprint team and all kind of things, sprint retrospective, sprint ceremonies. There is a kind of a user stories. So for each of the sprint and all, sprint backlog is there, product backlog, something. These are the artifacts need to, or approaches need to be taken. But all the organizations, the IT organizations usually it will have. Now the PDPA is applicable to a lot of non-IT organizations as well. These organizations will not have the agile methodology. Even bringing that kind of agile practice and all, it's a very difficult. Even matured organizations are struggling with that. The IT people here in this forum, they I think understand and realize this my point what I'm saying. So, but if feasible, if possible, if the due enablement is there across the organization, agile is a suggested methodology.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question?
So Anand, one question, Ashish here, and thanks for the wonderful presentation. How to deal with the CFO?
Good question, Ashish. Thanks. Good question. See, that's what I said. No, my last stakeholder in that I have put CFO, and CFO is the person key. But Ashish, I have made a very clever thing now. I told today in today's session, I will take the project management cycle post budget is committed, ballpark budget is committed. So I have not gone into those pain areas.
Yeah.
So they are the real pain areas where you are coming from. I understand. Getting the budget for the compliance project is really difficult, but here the PDPA is a different ball game. I'll tell you, I'm coming from a different perspective now. One is yes, within the timeline, the DPA defines, notifies that organization has to, if it's the data fiduciary, they have to become compliant. Point number one. So obviously there is a timeline to work backwards. Then second, that it is a regulatory. If we are not compliant, there is a penalty. It may be starting from thousands to it may go, if the data breaches and all, as you know, how much is the penalty? 4% or 5 crores, and then it moves to the 15 crores or something like that. So then coming to the cognizable offense also. See, these are all the few things, though it looks a bit, threatening and all, but it will drive the CFOs to release the budget. That is what I think of at this point of time. But a good question.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Adepo has got any questions? Anil? Pratyush?
No, sir, this is Ramesh here. The session was well presented by Anand, sir. So obviously, people have no questions. He covered all bases. Very well done, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, project management activities. Yeah.
Yeah, Anand, thanks. Anand, thanks a lot. It was a well presented presentation, as Ramesh mentioned. And when you have when the number of slides are less, I'm sure the focus must have been more of all the participants, and that's why nobody's got questions, because they've understood possibly quite a lot of things that you're saying. And of course, most of them are in the project management and the quality control audit area. So it would have gelled well with what they're doing and what you're trying to say.
Thanks. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we have legal team also here. Probably a few things I made it, brought into the highlight to make the legal people also to understand, because so sometimes I was repeating to give some certain messages to the who are not coming from the project management or IT background or something.
Correct.
Thank you.
Sir, one last question. Can
Yeah,
I go ahead?
Yeah, please, sir. Please, sir.
Which is the industry which is going to be in a lot of disruption may happen? Which sector it may hamper? From your experience, can you tell us, sir?
Sir, probably I don't know how to answer this question because the disruption will be across the industry. Every industry will be impacted depending upon the specific industry, what sectoral regulations they will have. Beyond sectoral regulations, probably I don't know. I don't have any specific answer to be frank. Then, if you ask my experience, I was part of the organization which was very global. I said that there were 5 regions. And stakeholders were, HR applications were itself is 45. And, we were to downsize it to 25, considering so many applications were not in use. Since last 1 year, there is no login, and some is not used at all. Then some are already in decommission phase, but they know it is in the list. So this kind of scenarios will be in the large organizations. So disruption will be there across the organization, whether it is mid-size, small, and this thing. Again, here the maturity of the leadership team or the focus or the vision of the leadership team, which will play a key role to bring in the awareness. And the more, and again, the base is the ISMS, what ISMS platform they have got already. More the fluid is the ISMS controls, the more the disruption is to the organization. That is what I would like to make it here. What is coming to my mind at this point of time?
Anand sir, one question. This is Pratyush. You were talking about the agile methodology which will be followed as part of this. So will it be as part of the PDCA cycle that will be covered?
Oh, good question, sir. So probably yes. I think I will go back. Sorry. Yeah, here we are. So definitely, this is one. Thanks. May I know your good name, sir?
Vikas.
Vikas, hey Vikas, thanks for this highlighting. Yeah, this kind of any project will have PDCA cycle. That is always good. That is the best practice. I'm fascinated by the PDCA cycle. So then it is more obvious, more significant for when the compliance project, where definite controls for each compliant, we have got a measure, the organization measure or a kind of a thing where we go plan, do, check and act. So definitely, yes, you are right. Whether you are using agile or any other methodology, I suggest that walk through the PDCA cycle. In agile, it is obviously it is built into that. Hope I answered.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. If there is no other question, we close the session now.
Hello.
Yeah, Ramesh, you got anything else to say?
Nothing, sir. Thank you. This is a great session. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
So on behalf of all the participants, I thank Mr. Anand for the excellent session. I think he has brought in some new thoughts to most of us, and he has made DPOs happy because he's suggesting the PM to support them. And I'm sure, if it can be implemented across the organizations, perhaps there will be better efficiency in the implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Navi sir. Thank you all for your time and being patient with me for the last 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand sir. Amazing session.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anand.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Navi.
Navi.
Thank you, Navi sir.